Kodash, 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 Adonai, Elohim, Sabayah, meaning holy, 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 Lord of hosts. It is the prayer that the angels sing day and night to the Most High, Anu, Elion, El. Also can be said as a mantra in a sound vibrational frequency that can remove any negative energy, negative entities from amongst the ions in the airways, which is the ether. Because ether is breath, life, spirit, blowpipe at any given time. Yah, hey, va, hey. Those 4 syllables could be said as a mantra as well, which as a collective whole, most people know the name Yahuwah, Yahweh, Yahweh, and in English, Jehovah, because Jah is the English word for Yah. But we're going to break the Yah, Hey, Va, Hey down in duality. The first Yod is the divine masculine, which signifies the Father who art in heaven, Abba, the architect of the universe. Hey is the divine feminine, which signifies the Mother who art in the earth, the womb of the earth where mankind was created, shaped, molded, and formed. Va signifies the divine masculine, which is us. In the book of Genesis, also known in the holy tablets as the generations of Isis, also known in Hebrew as Bereshith, in the beginning, Elohim, which is plural, which means more than one, said, let us create them in our image. Keywords in that passage is us and our, which signifies a duality of more than one. Va is the 6th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. 6 identifies as mankind. So when you read in your book of Revelation, 666, the mark of the beast, is talking about man, mankind in general as a collective whole, an ideology, a system, government, whole body, or multitude. The last Hey correlates with the first Hey, which is divine feminine, which deals with Ana Chokma. Ana is the opposite of Abba, which means mother, and Chokma correlates with wisdom, which is one of the 10 sephirats of the tree of life. Wisdom is the eternal essence, the intuitive nature, the instinctiveness of how God speaks through us by letting us know things by feeling and vibration. So things that we don't see with the physical eye, but we see with the spiritual eye, also known as the third eye, also known as the pineal gland, also known as the crystals, the secretion, the oil in the brain, which is heaven, the upper room, the Christ consciousness. As above, so below. The macro prosophis above and the micro prosophis below, because we are the microorganisms and the host of the Elohim, created in the likeness and the image, the physical manifestation. Now today, I'm going to talk about life, eternity, death, and immortality. And I'm going in no other but the secret book of wisdom. This book right here is what allowed me to decode the Bible. Decoding is another form of discerning, So something that is written in metaphors, allegories, parables, and figurative language that a lot of people take literal, which is a book of codes, Codes. when I say duality, I'm talking about there's the esoteric, which is the inner essence, the eternal nature, and then the exoteric, which is the outwards, the external, the physical nature. Because guess what? Every thought which comes from eternal leads to an action which is external. So the spirit and the matter have to work together in duality to create the manifestation to exist. So today we're going in the secret book of wisdom. Like the things like you hear about in Revelation when it talks about, oh, he told those angels, those four winds, do not harm the earth until the elect are sealed, or a specific amount of chosen people are sealed. See, like when you go into the book of secret wisdom, it tells you exactly what that seal is. Just like when the Most High in the Bible, it says that I will write a new law on their hearts and consciousness. It tells you the concept of heart, you know, basically being a form of consciousness that is written and encoded in DNA. So it's a lot of things people don't know, because when you're stuck inside a box or in one place and you never go outside of that, trust me, God is in all things, you know, and God is not subject to just one book. And if God is Elohim and in plural and more than one, that would make sense out of the 72 Hebraic Kabbalistic names of God. And the Elohim, in further research, it tells you about the 7 Elohas. The 7 Elohas correlate with the 7 planets and the 7 days of creation, as well as all playing their role and their attributes working together in unison and in duality, making things happen. But together as a collective whole, which I learned in the Holy Tablets, this is where you get Al-Kalun the All. See, the Bible, Hebrew will say Elohim, but when you go on the Holy Tablets, it will say Elohim. This is where Muslims get the word Allah. Allah. Because Al is a prefix to El. I bet y'all didn't know that neither. Just like instead of externally breaking down Allah as, and it's actually one of the names of God, because when, you know, the Messiah was on the cross, he said that, you know, and he was saying it because you got to look at this. When you talking about, that's why the Messiah, he always talked in these metaphors, parables, and figurative language. He said, I am in the Father, and the Father is in me. No man can reach the Father but through me. That's why the title, The Christ. He also said in the Bible, ye will be able to perform the things in which I have and work even greater wonders. Believe it or not, nowhere in the Bible that the Messiah told anybody to worship him. He was the forerunner to show you the potential that you can tap into and how you can be connected to God here on earth by your way of nature. The law, statutes, and commandments are basically what keep you in connection with the cosmic law of cause and effect. Cause and effect, the do's and don'ts, which create a judgment or salvation. So by you moving in this specific frequency, it allows the elements, the mother, to work in your favor in order to nurture you, to protect you from the unseen things as well. So by him telling you that, he's basically telling you that you are equal. You have these same abilities. Now, when you decode disciples is a prefix to the word discipline. So you discipline yourself in the law. The laws of cause and effect, the do's and the don'ts, you know, which allow you to align with the planet, the nature of things, because the nature that is in you. You want to stand in uprightness, righteousness, the rightful way of thinking. See, when you go on the Holy Tablets, it talks about It don't talk about angels and demons. It talks about agreeable beings and disagreeable beings. But when you follow the consistency and pattern, you can link it all together, and you'll see how it all correlates. But let me jump right into this. Today I'm dealing with 4s. Yesterday when I did the video, I took 9 scriptures. 3, 6, and 9 is the keys to the universe. You hear that, Brother Kareem? 3, 6, and 9. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, 3, 6, and 9 is the key to the universe. So a lot of times I'm going to be using those numbers, you know. And another thing, go read the book of Numbers and watch how the numbers correlate. All the numbers will correlate the same. Just like when the Most High wanted to bring Jericho down, he sent the Israelites to that place, and they marched around the city 7 times. And then they blew a trumpet out of a ram's horn, which was a sound vibrational frequency, and that's what made the walls come down. So remember that. The sound, just like in the beginning was the word. He said, let there be light, and there was light. The sounds. It's sounds. We're dealing with sound here. That's why the Bible metaphorically tells you that there is life and death in the power of the tongue. And then when you get deeper into things and you did realize what the throat chakra is, which is blue, and it deals with communications, wrath, or kindness. Because if it's life and death in the power of the tongue, and that throat chakra, which deals with communications, is wrath or kindness, you can say something agreeable or disagreeable. You can make somebody's day. You could uplift somebody, or say something disagreeable and disgust and bring them to doubt and discouragement, and you can lower their frequency, and it's a form of a spiritual death, you know, to their nature. It's a blow to their nature, but it also could be uplifting to their nature. So it's very key that you know how these metaphors, allegories, parables, and figurative language work. You know, I've been saying this for a long time, but I'm getting sharper and sharper now. You know, I don't even really have to think too much about it anymore, because it's like the more I read different books, I'm finding and linking the consistencies and patterns to all of them. So it's like I'm not biased anymore. When I first started to come into the truth, you know, I used to argue with people, debate with people, go back and forth, swore I knew it all. You couldn't tell me nothing outside of that realm of things, you know. But at the same token, I was producing ignorance because I was not open to new knowledge. You know, God, it's going to be levels of things, just like it's levels to heaven. It's 9 levels of heaven, you know. So in the ascension process, as you're rapturing up these levels to your higher self, the head, heaven, the upper room, you know, where the crystals is, the oil, you know, what's in the brain, which goes up the spine, the vertebrae, to the 33 parallel, just like Jesus was 33, you know. And Jesus is not the name that you should actually say, you know, because one, there was no J in the Hebrew alphabet, and the name Jesus didn't come about till, you know, after like the 1600s, and it's a prefix to the Greek word Zeus. All hail Zeus, you know. So that's why it says Satan, which is Natas in the Holy Tablets, which is Satan bastard, Halal, the reptilian, which the Bible will say is a serpent as a metaphor, but it's actually talking about an entity, you know. So deceiveth the whole world, you know. So it's very key you know these things, you know, and you're not one-sided. You notice, to every offense, there's a defense. For every woman, there's a man. So, to subject things to one side, you can't do. You will never comprehend, you know. There's always a twofold meaning to everything. Now let's jump right into this. First, we're going to address life in the sacred book of wisdom, the prophetic record of human destiny and evolution. So first, we're at here, life. This is the definition of life in the glossary of this book. This glossary is so profound because it is so accurate in breaking it down, just on all levels, So when you go in the Bible and you see these certain words and these specific parables and you think to yourself, how can I make sense out of that? Trust me, you have to go into the esoteric knowledge to make the sense out of it. Because throughout the whole Bible, it's always talking about eternal. Even when Moses went up on that mountain, it was eternal, But once you tap into a high level of spirituality, you can unlock things and you can control the elements, just like it tells you in the book of Revelations with the two witnesses. They lie dead in the marketplace for 3.5 days. 3.5 days is also a metaphor as well, Just like it said, the Messiah rose in 3 days. What is 3 days? 24, 24, and 24, that's 72. 72 is always going to go back to the God particles. And when you put 72 and 72 together, you get 144. You know why it's 72 and 72? Because there's 72 agreeable natures in you, what you would know as angelic forces, and there are 72 demonic natures in you, because you are created in duality. It's your job to find balance within it, because how do you think that these prophets, patriarchs, and matriarchs were able to summon these angels? If you read your Bible correctly, it will tell you that you have power and dominion over these angels, so you can call upon them at your will. But you also have to know, when you call upon these entities, you have to know how to do things in a specific order. You call upon specific entities, you also have to give them the license to depart, to go back where they came from, and you have to tell them to come in a specific type of form, because if you see them in their natural form, they will startle you and you probably have a heart attack and just die. So life, the affirmation of the varying degrees of fire, which in the highest form of the light as a result of the harmonious implementing in visible form of the laws of sound and color. Thus, life and light are the same in the essence, and life itself is simply a way of drawing closer to the light and asserting the light in one's self. Life lasts forever, flowing from one form to another, and since all life is continual change, life as a whole is immortal. Every living form is animated by a fiery seed that is unique in itself and is directly connected with the cosmic fire by seamless thread, just as a solar ray is inseparably linked with the sun. The seed evolves through the growth of outer coverings, accumulating crystallized energy around its centre. Remember, the centre is Kether in the head, where the crystals lies. This is where you get the crystallized. Okay? The Christ. You will be able to work the same things in which I have, and even work greater wonders. Is that not an equal partnership? All right. Back to this. As it says, through the growth of outer coverings, accumulating crystallized energy around its centre, whose fiery essence remains unchanged. In this way, the fiery white core is constantly forming. Its sublease energies of fire are magnetic. What I always say, magneticism. Magic is magneticism. You get what you dish, what you draw unto yourself. So do unto others as you want done to yourself. Treat nature how you want nature to treat you. Speak to the trees, speak to the sun, speak to the moon, speak to the animals, speak to the grass. think the circle of life on a daily basis. It's called gratitude magic, which is a form of magneticism. Every living form is animated by a fiery seed, and well, I already read all that, whose fiery essence remains unchanged in this way. The fiery white core is constantly forming. Its sublease energies of fire are magnetic, gathering different degrees of matter around it, depending on consonance or likeness. Hence, the diversity of forms in both nature and the cosmos. Nothing is identical. The seed's degree of consonance depends on what the will is attuned to. Man endows with free will, both consciously and unconsciously, attracts external energies, and their corresponding matter. The freedom of choice and will determines their reception in accordance with the cosmic laws of consonance, which operates in all spheres of life. This means that the variety of each individual's life condition is defined by magnetic properties of the energies contained in their aurora. I just did a video about a month ago on auroras. Go check that out as well. Because, you see, like, I never do videos in a specific order. You notice that. I just randomly do videos on specific topics. But, you see, they all link together in some way, form, or fashion. Now, let's read that again. This means that the varieties of each individual's life conditions defined by the magnetic properties of energies contained in their aurora. The centre, which is Kether on the 10 sephirots of the tree of life, of which is the seed. For example, the accumulated fiery energies weave the fabric of all 7 of man's body. Remember, I was just telling y'all about the 7 of lowest. People's bodies, either healthy or sick, are often simply the effects of the magnetic attraction of the energies concealed in their seeds. However, consciousness is able to control the selection of particular types of energy out of the infinitely diverse world of energies of every possible kind. Thus, the conscious efforts of the will to attract a certain kind of energy gives man power over his own life. All earthly life is like a fleeting dream, testing the steadfastness of one's spirit. It is but a preparation for life in the ethereal world. The severity of a life path full of difficulties and hardship compels the fires of the spirit to flare up even more brightly. The deprivation of earthly goods and comforts of a carefree existence makes the transition into a subtle world and the assimilation of its ethereal conditions relatively easily and painless. That is why many teachings warn us not to become too attached to anything. And then there will be nothing to lose and nothing to grieve over. Like I said before, be attached to nothing, but be open to everything. Keep an open mind. Now, that is life. Now we're going to get into eternity. Let's go into eternity. Eternity, an aspect of eternity, a aspect of infinity, the source and ultimate destination of all phenomena in the manifest world. That is the place of existence of all that was and will be. Eternity and infinity are when the life of the spirit is visible, creating ever new forms of life from eternal matter but by spiral ascent, wherein one can develop and perfect one's self endlessly. Each atom, along with its energies, originated from the fathomless depths of eternal infinity. They constitute forms of life forever flowing from one shape to another with every new cycle. After each phenomenon comes one more advanced, and so on forever throughout a never-ending chain of cause and effect. But everything is linked with everything else by countless connecting threads, for they are all one. From the one incognizable divine principle is infinite eternity. Numerous universes unfold, each with its own mission and cosmic laws. Here, in turn, the supreme spirits who were once human beings create worlds that enable every spirit to evolve and multiply their might without limit. In accordance with the prevailing laws, each world provides a limitless field for the manifestations of the spirit's creative power from its very early stages to the creation of planets, stars, and whole star systems. And all the worlds differ from one another in their unique diversity of forms. Of course, there are worlds that are similar to each other, but no two are exactly the same. There are worlds where human spirits have attained such a degree of might and power that they may be legitimately called gods. There are even higher worlds than that, but there are also anti-worlds or worlds of chaos which are not made manifest in spirit. As above, so below. As here, so there. As now, so then. Vice versa. In this way, observing the evolution of the planet Earth, one can understand by analogy the evolution of the entire universe in eternity too. Now we are going to jump into what is death. 88. Let's get it. Okay. I've been in great spirits lately too. Maybe that's because I just know what's about to happen, you know. But, you know, I also been fasting. You know, I've been changing my diet up. You know, I've been exercising. You know, start back exercising. I took like 2 months off. But, you know, I'm back at it. You know, I got that good muscle memory. And it's just like I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm not second guessing myself. I'm not doubting myself anymore. I'm just letting it come out and being who I am. You know, I'm not trying to sugarcoat nothing. I'm not trying to act like something I'm not, because I know I'm not holier than thou. I know I was created in duality, but I also know that I serve a greater purpose to bring balance to the planet, you know, because it also tells you in the Bible, there's a time for peace and it's a time for war. It also tells you about an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. You know why? Because that is our natural nature. I don't know who came up with this concept, turn the other cheek, but that's not realistic. It's not realistic. But the key is to humble yourself, have balance, you know, and if you can avoid something, avoid it, you know. You don't run to the conflict, you know, because you're going to lose every time and the elements are not going to work in your favor. But if you just mind your business and you try to avoid things at all costs, when it is go time and you got to do something, guess what? Everything is going to be favorable for you and you're going to smite that demon with no problem. You know, whether it be with words, whether it be physically, you know, I don't condone violence, but sometimes you got to fight fire with fire, you know. So death, a birth into a new life, a life richer without opportunities and beauty than earthly existence. One's entire human's life on the earth from the very first day should be viewed as a preparation for life in the higher worlds. For man is a sower here and a reaper there. For good spiritual people, the transition into suitable worlds facilitated by the higher spirits who take care of them and help them to adapt. You see that? The higher spirits are there at your disposal to help you. And you can find that in the Bible as well. You can find that also in a lot of apocryphal books, and you can just find the consistency and pattern throughout the patriarchs, matriarchs, and prophets throughout history. They always had helpers. And all they had to do was say a word and tap into that eternal essence and that magneticism, which people ignorantly call magic, would always happen, And that's what would separate them from the rest, Separate them from the average Joes, and then the people that think things were average, they realized they weren't so average after all. For good spiritual people to transition into the suitable worlds is facilitated by higher spirits who take care of them and help them to adapt. Similar attention is shown them during the final minutes before the transition, when their consciousness is being prepared for the impending changes. So it's basically talking about when you going out, the physical body dies, your energy is still alive, and it's still conscious, and it's still fully aware. And it's basically telling you they basically about to take you into another realm of time, space, and matter, where things are infinite, Your body might seem big, your spirit might seem small, but when that spirit leaves that body, it goes into infinite space. And that space becomes even bigger, Time is not the same, You could be dead for 3 minutes and be revived back, but went through a whole journey in heaven within that 3 minutes, which people know as near-death experience. And I've tracked the consistencies and patterns on them over the years, and I've seen similarity, and I also had some within myself. I'm not going to say that I left my body, but I came close enough to death. And when on my time that I was supposed to go, being young, partying, doing all types of drugs and just wilding out, I noticed every time I was in that situation, I would get real spiritual. I start calling on things that I wouldn't normally call on. But I was saying it from the bottom of my heart, like, no, I ain't ready to go. Like, no, y'all gotta come, like, no. And I'm fighting, fighting death. I remember up in them hospitals, and these doctors, they wanted me to die, because they were just like, oh, man, it's nothing that we can do for him. He's hyperventilating, and this. I remember, I saw them. But guess what? I seen them lights coming at the room. I seen time slow down. My heart rate slowed down. Guess what? Every time I got up and walked out that hospital like nothing ever happened. But let's keep going. When their consciousness is being prepared for the impending change, it is not wise to mourn over the deceased, for no one departs before the karma appointed date, and who knows where they are better off, on the earth or in the higher world. Premature death is also determined by the law of cause and effect. In this case, the man remains in the near earth layers for many years, as he had left a dweller of the earth. If he is a good person, he just falls asleep for this period of time. Suicide is one of the most serious crimes, with terrible consequences for the future evolution of the spirit. It has been said, and truly, that sleep is similar to death. And if death be the transition of man from the world of causes to the world of effects, then the state of sleep may be regarded as a stay in the world of effects on a miniature scale. These effects may serve as a basis before judging the causes underlying the effects over the course of the preceding day. In this frame of reference, a dream can be viewed as a test and examination of one's daytime thoughts and the affirmation of one's thoughts just before going to sleep is particularly important. Man may judge the depth and the depth depth and sincerity of daily decisions by his dreams. I learned a lot about my dreams, and I ain't always had no good dreams. But one thing I found in consistency and pattern when I do have dreams, there's always somebody trying to kill me. And I'm always trying to fight back in some way, form, or fashion, but the dream is very vivid. And every time I try to fight back, or whether I try to throw a punch, I'll get stiff, and I can't move, and I can't fight back, and I'm looking at them like I'm about to go all out, or, you know, I might have a weapon, they might have a weapon, but when I try to use my weapon don't work. And this is something I see over and over and over in the dream. Like a couple nights ago, I was having this dream. It was these reapers came trying to kill me again. And guess what? This time I got up. I'm like, nah. I'm like, this is good pattern. Like, and then I started replaying all the other dreams because I can remember them vividly. But I don't really dream like that. But when I do dream, I see these things. And it's always these shadow people that come to me when somebody is about to die. They always magnetize me. I'm on the bed. I can see them, their silhouettes, or I can feel them near me. And before I used to be terrified, and then I just started to calm myself and just monitor them and see like, oh, what's going on. But then the consistency and pattern I know about that is somebody always dies. You know, or a family member, somebody close to me, somebody I was just talking to, or something. I can never identify who it is until it happens, but I know when that happens, some other type of event is about to happen. So don't always be fearful and scared when certain things happen. You just try to, everything happens for a reason. So just try to comprehend, understand why it is happening. Man may judge the depth and sincerity of daily decisions by his dream. For example, if a man derives out of an impure thought during the day, but it returns at night, then he has not yet been completely liberated from it. This enables man to carry a strict self-examination of his true nature and prepare himself for the life in the suitable world. In the scriptures of the initiates, earthly lives are called the dreams of the earth. Man awakes from them after death, for death is a liberation from the illusions of the earth. This is followed by the illusions of the suitable and mental worlds. Only the fiery world is real, for the first three are transient and temporary, albeit very long. That is why all the teachings of light urge people to free themselves from terrestrial illusions. See, you got celestial above and terrestrial below illusions, the simulation. Some people call it the matrix. Negative feelings, thoughts, habits, and passions, for it will be too late to do this in the higher world. That's why I tell people, monitor your frequency, your vibration, how you're feeling you. What's the cause and effect of causing you to feel that way? Because every thought leads to an action. So don't let these feelings conjure up a thought that leads to an action that is going to leave an etherical mark, because you energetically, physically manifested it from thought into the physical realm, and you put your energy into it. Thought is energy as well. Physical movement is energy as well, but it's triggered all from the mental. Death as such does not exist, since everything flows from one form into another. See, say that again. Death as such does not exist, since everything flows from one form to the other. See? Bodies die, but energy never dies. You go to a blood bank. They want your blood because they want the plasma. What is plasma? Ether. What does the sun produce? Plasma. Ether. What does it have effect on? All living organisms on this planet. So as above, so below. Now back to this. Death as such does not exist, since everything flows from one form into another. If man has been so bad and wicked during his lives, with an S, that all his bright fires are extinguished, then comes the so-called death of the spirit. But even this is not death within the context of infinity, because once the divine seed leaves this man, it begins its evolution from scratch under completely new conditions, and the seed is allowed as many chances as necessary for the man it has endowed with life to start following the path of the light. Of course, this might take billions of years. I'm gonna tell you another thing about a vivid dream I had a long time ago, but it was so real and I can still remember to this day. It was like a time that I died in another place, but I was killed by a cop. He shot me in the head. And I remember the transition from the body. I was still conscious. Soon as the gun went off, I remember we was in this living room, we was in this place, and soon as the gun went off, it was like I was in an older time. You know how things were in older time. The gun went off, he shot me in the head, but it was peace. Once the shot went off, I was still conscious, you know, but I wasn't in the physical realm. I was traveling through light. It was basically light. I was in an energy state, but I still could remember what just happened to me. And it was so fast, you know, I didn't feel no pain. I didn't feel nothing, you know, it was no pain because I was shot in the head. So I mentioned consciousness immediately struck from body, and that's what I remember. And I just remember it was this wicked energy that it was already ordained. They was gonna kill me one way or another. And that time, you know, and they killed me in such a basically a set up manner, you know. But it was like I was a problem for them then, you know. Just like now. But let's leave it at that. Now we're going to go into immortality. 128. But the only thing about now is that these are the signs of the time. This is when the solar flash happens. This is when the 36,000 year cycles, 11-year cycles, 5-year cycles, because everything is broken down and periodically. But the 36,000 year cycle is when the second sun comes, and some people know it as Black Sun, some people know it as Planet X, some people know it as Planet 9, some people know it as Nibiru. In the Egyptian cultures, they know it as Natar, and in the Bible and Revelations, it's called Wormwood. So it's when it comes into the atmosphere, it has a geomagnetic pull. This is where, when the Bible tells you it will cast a third of the stars to the earth, it's talking about these comets and other things of that nature. But comets, everything is alive. So energy forms to reshape the planet. So when they come, this is where you get Anu from. Anu, Heavenly Father. You know, in that time, it's called the sky god. You know, the god of the celestial. You know, and he sent his children, which were other gods. You know, Satan was one of them. You know, and they would call them in Sumerian times as Enki and Enlil. You know, that's why if you don't look at the Bible with the God with the S, you'll start to see contradictions. But once you realize what's actually happening in these attributes and triggers, you notice it's a war going on of a back and forth of two brothers. So pay attention to that next time you're reading the Bible. And you realize even the Egyptians, yes, they were judged at a point, but they were under a whole nother dynasty. You know, God dealt with the Egyptians regularly. You know, they were a very special people, you know, believe it or not. That's why the Egyptian alphabet is the same numeral value as the Hebrew alphabet. The same exact meanings and everything. you know. But they came under a disagreeable regime at a specific time with a hardened heart, and it was just like it was a hatred towards these Pacific people. So that regime had to be destroyed. Another regime rose up later on down the line, and God dealt with them in a different way, and they were brought back to their rightful state, But it's so much more. I can go on and on. That'd be a whole nother lesson. But Malachi York, if you go look up Malachi York, Z York, he breaks it down to the T. He went through the Bible and brought out every scripture, and then every contradiction where people try to misinterpret, and broke it down in like so many scriptures. It's like it's unreal, I couldn't even take enough notes. I just like I get it. I definitely get it. That ain't my place to explain, but I know what's going on here. Now, all right, we're gonna get to immortality, and then I'm getting out of here. Because this video was not supposed to be this long, y'all. 128. But I hope it is very edifying, and it gives you an idea of how life actually works, how eternity actually works, how death actually works, That definition of death is actually very soothing to me, because it's something that a lot of people already know, And it'll bring a lot of peace to you once you realize how it really works. It's nothing to really fear, I think people more so fear an unexpected death, Everybody knows they're going to die at some point, but a lot of people, they don't want to die unfulfilled. You get what I'm saying? Immortality. Let's read it. Immortality, a quality natural to those creatures of the earth whose structure includes an immortal eternal principle and divine spark known as a monad. Greek, it means unity, which is eternally reincarnated, taking on various forms and its true meaning. So when people hear reincarnated, they act like it's something new, but it tells you that right in the Bible with John the Baptist, tells you the reincarnation of Elijah, It tell you about people that went up to heaven and didn't even die, like Enoch, So these supernatural things has always been happening, It tell you about the two witnesses, the two olive branches, Enoch and Elijah again coming back in another form, So, like I said, a lot of people already been here, You just remembering yourself. The DNA gonna be unlocked after the solar eclipse and the solar flash. It's already happening. You're ascending. Heaven is coming to earth. You're going from the 3D to the 5D. The veil is being uplifted. This is the apocalypse. It means a great revealing. So the hidden things are going to be revealed. That's what apocrypha means, hidden in Greek. So back to this. It says, which eternity reincarnated, taking on various forms. In its true meaning, immortality is the absolute clarity of consciousness that permits a continuous self-realization in various bodies and worlds. Another aspect of immortality consists in a life above the self when man devotes himself to society, a people, humanity as a whole, which is a collective consciousness, or the planet. In rejecting his mortal personality, man joins the planetary flow of cosmic life that enables him to discover his higher spirit and immortal individuality. In the universe, there are technocratic civilizations with broken monads which are devoid of immortal principles. Their representatives live a mere 600 to 700 years. Then their matter decomposes, and without the ability to be reincarnated, they simply cease to exist. Their civilizations look for the opportunity to advance to the plane of immortality. Therefore, knowing that humanity possesses this quality, they study the planet Earth, including man, in order to find a way to transform their material components and to communicate this information to their worlds. Death on the physical plane is an unnatural phenomenon which violates the cosmic laws. This is a result of the delay of human evolution due to the activity of Lucifer, which real name is Lucifuge. You know, you can find that in the Greater and Lesser Keys of Solomon. Oh, Solomon, he had it. You know, the Most High dealt with him. He knew all the secrets and wisdom. This is a result of the delay of human evolution due to the activity of Lucifer, who wanted to limit earth dwellers solely to the dense world. As an infant grows into a youngster, an adult, and an elderly person, the human body too should develop into a higher form and not die. It is known that the entire cell structure of body completely renews itself every 7 years. Cellular regeneration. Not a single atom of the previous structure remains. You know why that's key? And you know why we about to be in ascension after this eclipse? Because 2017 to 2024 is a 7-year cycle, which you know as in your book of Revelation is 7 years of tribulation. And what will happen after that? You know, things will be brought back to light to you. Your rapture. Not a single atom in previous structure remains. It turns out that the human body has a continuous stream of matter flowing through it. However, a person still grows old because, look at this little thing just coming up here. Let me finish, mama. Well, where was I at? You just distracted me. It's known that the entire cell structure body completely renews itself every 7 years. Not a single atom of the previous structure remains. It turns out that the human body has a continuous stream of matter flowing through it. However, a person still grows old because the cells of their body lie dormant, deprived of their full vitality. After a certain time, their fieriness fades away, despite the constant renewal of atoms. Not only that, but a person fills their body with the emanations of decomposition in the form of impure food. That's why they giving everybody these GMOs, genetically modified organisms, things that are unreal, that are not of the nature of this planet, because they do not produce on this planet. They are produced by men in labs. Away in constant renewal of atoms. Not only that, but a person fills their body with the emanations of decomposition in the form of impure food, along with base thoughts, emotions, desires, and deeds. In other words, man extinguishes his fires of vitality by his own hands. Consequently, man's control of all his thoughts, feelings, actions, together with the proper diet, ought to be strengthened in fieriness of each cell, raise the level of their vibrations. That's why I tell you, people need to fast before this eclipse. People need to start drinking alkaline water, spring water, filtered water. Start eating lemons. Start eating mushrooms. Start eating green foods. Start eating fish. Substitute fish with your other meats. You could eat turkey. Things of that nature, because it's not that chicken ain't good or cow. A lot of these stuff are being genetically modified or enhanced or given steroids or cloned to grow faster or to just be duplicated. It's called genetic splicing. It talks about that in the Holy Tablet as well, under the 7 thunders. So, thereby increasing man's power over his body. That's why I told you I've been feeling good lately. I can feel it in the air. Hence, the body of a saint is not susceptible to decay. For given its fieriness, it is formed from another type of matter entirely. And yet, even though they can alter the properties of matter, saints die. The mystery consists in the fact that atoms take whatever form or image is shaped by the Spirit. All right, little girl. If one creates, say, the fiery formula of an eternally young physical body and through a moral lifestyle succeeds in preventing the usual extinction of the body's fieriness, the combination of atoms in the cells do not follow the common path, but that which is outlined by the fiery formula of spirit. However, in man structured by the supreme triad, this formula for the physical body is absent. A, Meme, Tha, Salah. A is left the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Meme is the mediator in between worlds, the Jacob's ladder. Tha is Tav, which is the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet, which you get in Greek as the Alpha and the Mega, the beginning and the end. Tav's symbol is a X. Aleph's symbol is a X. There is an X about to go over Mystery Babylon, also known as spiritual Sodom and Egypt, the whore that sitteth upon many waters. Every nation got drunk off of her wine. Every nation got drunk off of her wine. So let's break that down off metaphorically. Spiritual Sodom and Egypt. What rights do this nation produce? And they tell our children that it's okay to be that way. Egypt. Egypt is the Greek word for Egyptos, which the real name is Mizraim or ancient Kemet. Egypt was known in the biblical story for the bondage and hardship in which they put the Israelites through. The Israelites became a nation in Egypt. So the same nation that has the ideology of putting people in bondage. There is systemic racism, There is a control mechanism at play. But the whore, it means that they were dabbling with so many nations that sitteth upon many waters. They have a base on everybody's land. And every nation got drunk off their wine. So when foreigners come to this specific nation, they get grants, they get to open up businesses and do all these great things and get these passes, while the people that are being oppressed in that nation and been treated bad for 400 plus years, they don't get that treatment. You get my concept? You get my drift? X marks the spot. The sun is rising. Look up, your redemption draweth nigh. I'm out. Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe, and comments. Comments. I like to talk to y'all. I like to know what's on y'all mind. I like to know if y'all waking up or y'all getting the drift. Y'all getting the concept. This thing's starting to make sense to y'all. I want to know. I'm out. Deuces.